There we go. Sweet. Awesome. So yeah, you have any questions for any or regarding anything? It could be real estate, business, marketing, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I know you kind of touched on it. You said at the very beginning of the first session. Do you think we could kind of go into like what I was touching on about as far as I guess ethics? You know, how to, because that's one thing I keep coming around to. I've been on another group where they do mainly agent outreach, and it just seems can be a lot of mixed signals about, you know, like, okay, how do I present myself to the agent? You know, like there's a lot of like, be open and transparent, right? But at the same time, we hear like, well, don't ask, don't tell. You know, like we're like, you know, in Texas, right? The laws. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but how do we be transparent, you know, ethically, and follow the laws of our state in Texas? Basically, is where I'm, you know, how do we let the agent know we're, you know, because I know for myself, I don't intend to buy the property, right?
Mhm.
I know I'm 100% going in knowing I'm going to wholesale to this guy over here, right? So how do we, I guess, just how do we bridge that gap?
Yeah, so super good question, man. As far as ethics go, as far as far as ethics go, uh, I'm not a big believer in um, I guess like false presentation, right? Um, but it also want to and it also depends on how you're like overall your perspective, right? So it comes down to how you view yourself in the deal, right? So a lot of people position themselves just as a wholesaler or label themselves as a wholesaler, but you're not. You're not a wholesaler. Wholesaling, all it is at the end of the day, is just an exit strategy. That's all it is. Any savvy investor, any savvy investor that's in real estate should be utilizing that as an exit strategy 100% of the time. Or not 100% of the time, but at least like they should be using it um, throughout their career. And the reason for it is because, hell, if they get, 17 to 25 properties under contract on a monthly basis, what's the likelihood of them actually closing on all 17 or 25 of those properties? Very slim, right? They may close on a few of them themselves to fix and flip for 100%, like 100%, yeah. But what about the ones that they don't close on? Should they just let those fall through and waste the seller's time, keep EMD tied up in escrow? You know, probably not, because at the end of the day, now you're really not only are you not being transparent about what it is that you're doing, but you're also wasting their time and you're playing with their livelihood because they have the expectation that you're going to close on their property and then you fail to do so. So you're not even upholding your end of the bargain, right?
Right.
So that's why that's where wholesaling the property comes into play because it gives you the opportunity to fulfill your deed, or not your deed, but it gives you the opportunity to fulfill your word and in that agreement of that property actually closing, right? And so even if you bring on another partner or another investor to actually close the property and fund it, you're still navigating the whole thing together, keeping it all apart. You're basically, did you ever watch Spider-Man with Tom Holland?
I don't think I did.
Dang. Did you ever see where he's in between? Okay, I got a better one. What about Tobey Maguire?
Yeah, I think I've seen that one.
Love Toby. So you know when he's on the I don't even know if it's a subway or what, but when he's on the train fighting Doc Ock and he's shooting his webs on all the buildings that it's coming across and he's like holding the damn thing together as tight as he can so the train doesn't fall off into the harbor.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while. Sure.
So he does that, right? You're basically Spider-Man holding the whole damn deal together ensuring all the parts are working and flowing as they should be, right? So there's a lot of value that you're bringing to the seller just by doing that. So if you weren't in that position, if you weren't doing that, then yeah, like like you probably shouldn't be buying properties to begin with. Um, but being in that position and holding the whole thing together, navigating it, and ensuring that it gets to closing, and ensuring that the original agreement that you had put in place between you and that seller gets fulfilled, that's ethical. That's extreme. That's extremely ethical, because you're not, one, you're not going back on your word, and two, you're ensuring that you're performing on your obligation on or in that end of the contract, right? Especially if this is a seller who's in a really tough situation in life, who's in a really distressed position. If you're able to help them close that property and sell that property, you're doing them a really big service. You're really helping them out quite a bit. So there's nothing not ethical about that. That's all ethical, 100%. How you position yourself and how you describe what it is that you're doing, that comes down, or that could be done ethically. It can also be done not unethically as well. And one of the things I mentioned this morning were these kids. You got Will, Seth, and Tristan. These kids are in high school, 17, 18 years old. And it blew my mind when I first listened to when I first had a conversation with them and I was asking them how they were presenting themselves to sellers. It blew my mind because they were straight up, flat out telling the sellers that they were wholesaling the property. Like, yeah, hey, we're not actually going to be the buyer for the property. We're going to wholesale it to an end buyer. And from what they're telling me, the responses they would get were, well, what is wholesale? What do you mean what do you mean by wholesaling the property? And so they break it. They tell them exactly what they're doing. Like they explain what an assignment fee is and the difference and everything like that. Like they explain it to the T. And from what they've told me, they got really good responses from it. And the seller's totally open for it. And we went and they brought me a property in Corpus Christi. And they were doing the negotiations with the seller, or not the seller, but with the agent involved. And they were just as direct with the agent as they were with sellers that they were talking to. Just as direct. And the agent actually appreciated their transparency. And because they were transparent, the agent decided to actually work with them. Not just for that reason, but we also agreed on the price, but the agent decided to work with them. And I told Will, I was like, hey man, good job on what you're doing. Good job on getting this together. Loop us in a conversation in a group text so that way I can talk to the agent involved and I can run it from here. And we did. Now, unfortunately, it fell through because we couldn't find an end buyer for the property, but the agent was up to speed on what we were doing. And in turn, so was her client. Her client was fully up to speed on what we were doing as well. We tried to do an ovation for it, but her client just wasn't comfortable with listing the property. Some speculation, or not speculation, but I don't know. They just don't believe in listing the property. So we weren't able to do an ovation for it, so we had to terminate that deal. That's okay. There's always more. But as far as being ethical in this industry, 100%, man. You can straight up, flat out tell the seller what it is that you're doing, and they'll probably appreciate that. Now, you may also put yourself in a bit of a bind because some sellers may not trust you as far as your credibility goes. Like if you're not buying my property, if you're the investor and you're not buying my property, why would I work with you? You're going to run into that inevitably, right? You will run into it. But you can position yourself to where you're able to answer both questions, kind of like a double-edged sword. So in Texas, when it comes to the law now, because this was passed, I want to say in January, you do have to disclose that you're potentially wholesaling that property if it's assignable. So what does that mean exactly? It means you need to break down what exactly it means to assign a contract, right? because that's the same way as disclosing. It's not wholesaling is a term. It's not the actual strategy itself. The strategy itself is assigning the contract to the buyer. So it's really called an assignment of contract. That is the exit strategy. It's assignment of contract. The term wholesale, it was just coined, and that's what people go by. But the legal term for it is assignment of contract. So, for example, when we're looking at it and I'm breaking down my agreements, right? I will let you know, like, and James, just just so that way you're fully aware and you understand, and I want to make sure that I really manage your expectations, and I want to make sure that I'm also transparent with you. This contract is 100%. I don't even say contract. I would say agreement. This agreement is 100% assignable. And you're like, well, what does that mean? So basically, when two parties in the state of Texas sign an agreement to buy and sell a piece of property, Texas then recognizes that the buyer of the or the potential buyer of that property has equitable interest in it. And so when an agreement is made assignable, it allows that buyer, potential buyer, to then assign that original agreement to another party if anything were to happen. So, for instance, do you recall how I was telling you earlier that we're doing about 17 to 25 properties on a monthly basis, but we just, we can't buy them all with the rates being so high? And you're like, yeah, no, that makes sense. Do you remember that? Well, it puts us in a position to where we have to pick the properties that really do give us the very best returns. And when we cherry pick these properties, it's only a handful that we can actually take on because we only have so much capital that we can use for these fix and flips. So what does it mean? It means that all the other properties that we don't take on, all the other properties that don't necessarily give us the return that we want, it doesn't mean that we're going to terminate those agreements. That's not what that means. What it means is we're going to find a partner that we've done close business with countless of other times. We're going to bring them into the deal, and we're going to assign them our equitable interest that we have with you. So now they basically come in and fill our shoes. Does that make sense? So your property is still going to be, it'll still get closed on. You're still going to get the amount that we had initially agreed to, and everything that you and I agreed to, they're going to uphold as well. That's essentially what an assignment of contract is, and that's what it allows us to do. So that way, if we get capped out for the month for our fix and flips, or if this property doesn't give us the return that we're really ideally hoping to look for when we start diving further into it, or if we come across another property that gives us a higher return, we're probably going to go with that one. And we'll assign this one to one of our other partners who's also interested in picking up some more fix and flips for themselves. Does that make sense? Right?
Yeah.
What if you present it that way? Is that unethical, or is it true?
Right. So my question is, when are we supposed to disclose it? Is it upon first contact?
No, I would not do that first contact. I would wait when you get into the closing stage. That is when I would start talking about that, because that's when you're starting to talk about the actual agreement and putting something together. Before then, before that, before you get to that conversation, if you bring that too early in the convo, you're going to kill that convo, and you're not going to give yourself any opportunity to potentially do any kind of deal with them whatsoever. So that's something that I would bring up later on towards the end of the conversation. Now, if somebody says, because I get this call or I get this question asked all the time, if I'm talking to an agent or if I'm talking to another wholesaler, whatever reason, they always ask, "Are you a wholesaler?" I am. So that's not what I say, but that's what I was like, man, who's not wholesaling these days? And that is a question I'll ask them too. So if somebody says, "Are you a wholesaler?" This is how I go about it. Like, yeah, so I guess the best way to answer that question is to kind of give you an insight, because there's no simple answer to it, really. I mean, there is, but there's really not. Um, we're actually looking to add some more fix and flips to our schedule for the year. So like we did like 20 last year, and we're trying to double it this year. But as you know, you and I both know, for the most part, like every property we come across, because we're averaging 17 to 15 properties on a monthly basis. But I mean, we can't buy every single one of them. There's just no way. Especially with the rates being so damn high, like we can't. So it puts us in a position to where we have to cherry pick the ones that give us the very best returns, and we keep those for ourselves to fix and flip, or even possibly add to our portfolio. Just depends. And then all the other properties, we don't want to terminate those and let them just fall through the cracks and not perform on our end. So we want to make sure that those are carried all the way through closing, and the seller is actually taken care of and their needs are fulfilled as well. So in that case, yes, we will assign the contract to one of our close partners that we do a lot of business with, because we know that they'll pick it up for sure and that the seller's getting taken care of. Does that make sense? And they're like, yeah, that makes sense. Or that you don't even have to ask them that. I mean, you can, but sometimes, the vast majority of the time, when I tell them that, they're like, yeah, that makes sense. And I don't even have to ask them, like, that makes sense. And it's true. I'm not BSing them. I'm not lying to them. It's 100% true. It is 100. We cannot buy all these properties. We can't. There's no way we can. And we are buying some of them for our flips. We just picked one up yesterday for a flip. So it like super ethical about it, super transparent, not lying, not BSing, straightforward, straight to the point. And if they
interject,
yeah,
how would I answer that question? I'm not an investor,
you are.
So you're just saying that the difference is changing the mindset of how I view this transaction is really the key, is what you're saying.
100%, bro. Anytime you're doing any kind of real estate transaction, for it to be some sort of investment strategy, you're an investor, dude. You're not a wholesaler. You're an investor. You are 100% an investor, bro. 100%. And on top of this, I want you to think of it like this, because this is true, right? You're utilizing not just me, but you're utilizing myself and the group that I'm with as a resource for you. You are essentially an extended arm of us. Our resources are your resources. Does that make sense?
So I think that's kind of the thing I was trying to, wrap my head around when you partner with someone, right? With a buyer, essentially you are at that point, when you're partnering with a buyer, you're basically piggybacking on their credentials, essentially, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's association by bias. That's what it's called.
So by that, what do you call it? I don't know. By thinking of it that way, that in turn does make me an investor.
Yeah, 100%, bro. 100%. Even if you were just to dispo the deal on your own, you're still an investor. You're just utilizing an assignment of contract as an exit strategy. Now think about it like this, right? Most people getting into this industry have to build capital, right? They've got to build capital so they can pursue other avenues of real estate, right? This assignments of contracts allow them to build that capital quickly. It allows them to build it quickly, which allows them to then get on to their next objective even faster. But does that make them any less of an investor? No, not at all, because they're still investing their time, their resources, their money into acquiring properties to assign to an end buyer. It's still an investment. 100%, bro. Yeah, you're an investor.
So I'm sorry. So I guess it's a matter of interpreting basically what the law is saying, I guess. Like, we don't really have any court cases or anything that tell us how to interpret that law yet, right?
No, not at all. The only thing that regulation is saying is that we have to disclose essentially if we're going to wholesale a property, which basically means we need to disclose if we're going to assign a property. And we do. We would do that towards the end of the call 100%. That would be direct to, like if you're doing an in-person appointment, direct to seller, that is a conversation that you're going to have towards the end of that call or towards the end of that appointment when you're putting that agreement together and going over the purchase and sell agreement. That's where you have that conversation because they have to fill out an initial offer sign on a disclosure statement, which again, you can put that disclosure in the special provisions on the contract that I provided. 100%. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does too. But I'm looking at it from the seller's perspective as well, because I know when I say I'm an investor, they're thinking I'm the guy that's going to be buying their house. But I know up front I'm not. I know I'm just going to sign that contract, and it seems like I'm just kind of like, just for me, from my perspective of what I know right now, it just seems like it doesn't feel like I'm being forthright with them if I know I'm really going to sign the contract from the very beginning, and I know that they think from the very beginning, I'm the guy that they're selling it to. So it's like that's kind of where I'm kind of struggling to wrap my head around, and yeah.
Okay. A good way to, well, I don't know, like,
because I know that's kind of the reason why they're stepping up regulations, because of course we know there's a lot of shady wholesalers, wannabe wholesalers, just doing some shitty stuff, like putting in the assignment contract that they have to vacate, or the purchase agreement that they have to vacate the property, which is just they're pushing people out of their homes. They don't know what they're that kind of thing. I get that. But yeah, it just seems like, I just know if some guy came to me wanting to sell their house or asking to buy my house, and they said, yes, I'm the investor, I'm going to buy your house. I'd want to know the situation, because what happens is a lot of these contracts fall, or these wholesalers don't follow through, and they're tying up the contract and they're leaving the seller worse off. Right?
Yeah. If somebody came up to you and they're like, hey, James, I really want to sell my house, can you buy it? The way you could position that conversation is like, well, I'm glad you thought of me. I probably won't be able to pick it up myself, but I can definitely help you potentially sell that property. Would you be opposed to allow me to help you do that? No, I wouldn't be opposed to it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Now you're straight up telling them, like, hey, I'm not going to buy your property, but I can help you move it. I can help you sell that property for sure. And if they're like, well, how are you going to do that if you're not a licensed agent? Or if you don't have or they could be like, are you a realtor? And you'd be like, no, I'm not an agent. It would be essentially what's called an assignment of contract. And you can go into detail, break it all down, and then ask them, is that something you would be opposed to, or how do you feel about it? Right? And you can ask them that way. Or if somebody comes up to you and they're like, hey, James, I've got this property and I'm actually, pretty interested in selling it. Would you be able to help me out? And you could say something like this. Well, let's say Tim. Well, Tim, I really appreciate you thinking of me, but I mean, honestly, I'm not even sure I can help you out with that just yet. I can tell you now, I probably wouldn't be able to buy the property myself, but I may be able to assign it to a partner of mine that I know would be potentially interested in looking at it. They may pick it up or buy it from you. I guess, would you be opposed to looking at that as an option? Well, what does that mean? So when you've got an assignment, essentially what you can do is what's called an assignment of contract. So in this case, or I guess in the scenario, I would essentially go under contract with you and your property and the purchase of it, and I would assign what's called my equitable rights to another buyer to actually come in, step in my shoes, fulfill the obligation that I have with you as far as purchasing the property, to make sure that it actually does get closed and funded. Does that make sense? So that's another way you could position that conversation as well. So But if like when it comes to being ethical and completely transparent, bro, there's nothing stopping you. You can be as ethical and as transparent as possible with these homeowners for sure.
Right. My problem is not so much with the process of wholesaling. It's just how do I present myself to so they know up front and are comfortable with the process. Because I know it's like I was actually kind of shocked that you said those those high schoolers are actually coming out and saying, "Hey, we're going to wholesale your property." I mean, that's kind of what I had in my mind. Like that's what it means to be transparent. But as you know, I mean, that's not how wholesalers and generally approach it. So that's where I'm at, just trying to figure out, how to present myself, and also like I guess more specifically with agents. How would you like? What's the value? What value are you to an agent if you come straight out of the gate and say, hey, I want to wholesale your properties, when they can just as well do it themselves, right? What value do we bring to agents with wholesaling properties? I guess is another part of that question.
There's a lot of value we bring agents. Let's think about it. You got a lot of these properties that's sitting on the market for 100 plus days. If that agent was worth a shit, they would have sold that property by now, right? But if that property is sitting for 700 days or a few hundred days or even 60 plus days, the agent probably isn't worth a shit. Like they're probably not a great agent. Let's be honest, right? They're probably not the best suit for that specific property, right? So either there's two things. There's two things that determine the sale of a property: location and price. If it's in a really good location, but it's got a lot of days on market, it's because of the price, right? If it's pennies on the dollar and it's got a lot of days on market, it's location, right? So those are the two big things that determine the sale of a property, is like location and price. And at the end of the day, the vast majority of these real estate agents don't understand the investment world. Maybe a good 5% do, maybe less than that. But the vast majority of them don't understand what the hell an ARV is. And they sure shit don't understand what 75% minus repairs is either. Right?
Don't know how to themselves.
Say again?
Then they don't know how to comp.
No, they don't. They're terrible at underwriting. Right?
Their bread and butter is just a traditional buyer.
It's their traditional buyer. So when they come across a property that is distressed, or if they come across a seller that's in a distressed position who needs to sell quickly, they're going to want to list the property because that's all they know how to do, because that's all they're taught, and they're not willing to learn anything else. The average agent will do maybe a deal a month. If they're good, they'll do 2 to 3. But the average agent does maybe a deal a month. That's 12 deals a year. 12. The average wholesaler doing direct to seller does 3 to 5 deals a month. That's anywhere from 26 to 60 deals a year. That is far more than 12. Hell of a lot more than 12, right? So there's a lot of value that we bring to these agents. Hell, I was negotiating deals with agents who have been in this industry for over 20 years, and I've done more production than them in 6 months than they have done in their entire 20-year career.
You mean as an agent?
Yeah, as an agent. Like, bro, I did almost $17 million as an agent in 6 months. That was
what? I guess that's another story. But what set you apart?
Being familiar with different strategies, bro. Yeah, being familiar with different strategies, 100%, right? Because, like, yeah, you can sell a property traditionally, but the more tools you add onto your tool belt, the more opportunity, the more doors you're going to have. And a lot of these agents are really kicking themselves in the ass, and they're doing not just themselves a disservice, they're doing their clients a disservice, which is a shame because it's actually going against their fiduciary duties, which is keeping the best interest of their client at the forefront, because they're only thinking of themselves. And because of that, now we have this new regulation going on for buyer's agents. This whole 3% shit that's going on, right? Because of that reason. So even the NAR got in $1 billion lawsuit, and now this is where we're at.
Yeah,
so even agents themselves, man, like, hell, I'd rather do business with a wholesale than an agent any day, if I'm being honest.
And if I understand correctly, you still don't hold your license, or do you?
It's inactive. Still got it. It's just inactive. So I don't have it like with a broker right now. So I actually need to activate it again so that way I can get my time back up, because I do want to get my broker's license. So I do need to activate it again, actually. But yeah, man. So
how would you approach? I don't know. Did you say you covered this in another? Did y'all cover that in the last or the session 2 about agent outreach?
A little bit, but we didn't go this in depth. But what was your question, brother?
Well, I guess how would you reach out to an agent? What would you say to them? Like first call, or what do you do?
Yeah, the way I would go about it is how I typically go about my cold calls. So like, hey James.
Yeah.
Hey James, this is just Darion Blake. I don't think you and I have actually had the
privilege.
Thank you.
Did you have lunch today, Darion?
Actually, I haven't. So, I've had a lot of coffee, though. I'll tell you that.
That'll do it. Your brain moving faster than your tongue.
Yeah, man. Here we go. Hey, James.
Yeah.
Hey, James. This is just Darion Blake. I don't think you and I have had the privilege of connecting just yet, but I was hoping you could, possibly help me out for a quick second.
Yeah. Are you a wholesaler?
Yeah. So, man, that's a really good question, and we can definitely dive into those details for sure. But I want to make sure that this is, I guess, really, not going to be a waste of your time, man. I'm looking to actually connect with a few agents here that are local to DFW, in hopes to find another investment property for a fix and flip. Is that something I guess you come across quite often, or?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I just came across something yesterday.
Oh, wow. Well, talk about perfect timing.
Yeah. Okay. Timing.
Yeah. So I guess to go back and kind of answer that question that you had asked. So as I mentioned, man, we're looking to add some more fix and flips to our schedule. We did 20 last year. We're actually trying to double that number this year. That's our personal goal. And so right now we're kind of in a bit of a weird position with, rates being so high. And what I mean is, I guess to give you an inside view, we're doing about 17 to 25 properties on average a month as far as getting under contract. But I mean, we can't close on every single one of them with the rates being so damn high, So it kind of just puts us in this really weird position to where we have to cherry pick the properties that do give us the best returns to actually hold on for ourselves. And everything else, yes, to answer your question, we do wholesale off just to make sure that the seller is taken care of at the end of the day and they're able to receive their funds, but also to ensure that that property doesn't fall through the cracks and we're not missing out on any potential deals. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So is your intention to buy these properties?
Yeah, man, that's actually a really good question. Our intention is to buy every property. It really comes down to really, one, our cap. If we've hit our market cap for the month, and then two, which property really gives us the best results. And here's what I mean. So we picked up a property yesterday, and it looks like it's going to be a pretty good flip. Like, we're looking at a potential $40,000 to $50,000 on the back end, which is great. But coming across your property, we're looking at anywhere from 50. Well, it depends on what we get under contract for, but potentially we're hoping to get at least 55. Right. So this is something that we would actually prefer to close on. And the other one, in that case, we would prefer to wholesale because we're able to make more in this one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, man, I just wanted to give you a ring real quick and in hopes to connect with you on that level. The property that you picked up yesterday, can you, I guess, tell me a little bit more about it?
Yeah, it's off market, and it's gonna need a lot of love. Um,
I got
it's
a lot of love to give.
yeah, a lot of love to go around. Yeah, it's gonna need a lot of attention, and I think yeah, we've had a difficult time trying to move it. You know, so you seem like the guy that possibly help us out.
So I'm kind of curious. When you say you've had some difficulty trying to move the property, how do you mean by that exactly?
Well, nobody wants to buy it.
It,
It's an ugly house. It's got a lot of work.
uh-oh. Hold on, James. Hold on, James. Hold on, James. How did I? Oh shit, James, can you unmute yourself, bro? uh,
I muted the whole time.
no, well, part of it, but that was my fault.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
my bad.
I get the gist. I get the gist. Yeah, man, I appreciate you spelling out for me. That's kind of what the hurdle is like. You know, as I dive more into the business, I just want to, make sure, I got all my, what do you say, all my ducks in a row, right? Make sure I'm doing it ethically for my own consciousness, and obviously not to get. I ain't trying to do any jail time. You know.
No, I hear you there,
It's a lot of, there's a lot of shady wholesalers out there. So we have that to deal with as well. So that's why I'm just trying to make, because I know that's already an uphill battle. I want to know, just how to position myself to help, hopefully, you know, convey that to the potential seller or agent that, their best interests are in mind.
Yeah, brother. And so again, it all comes down to the overall conversation that you have with them too, right? And also not just that, but like your resources and what you're able to do. And again, man, like I mentioned, like my resources are your resources. You know what I mean? So what we're capable of doing, you're capable of doing as well. You're essentially an extension of us. Does that make sense? So, because at the end of the day, if we're able to pour as much as, if I'm able to pour as much as I can into you and to everybody here on the call, if I could pour as much as I can into y'all, man, like, of course, our resources are y'all's resources, right? So at the end of the day, you're not being unethical. You're not beating around the bush. You are an investor, you know, you have the ability. If we were to go into a joint venture agreement, you have the ability to purchase that property 100%. I can send you proof of funds right now for over $1 million. 100%.
Yeah, that's another leads into the next thing. I think, did you touch on that was one of my questions about JV deals and like what does a 50-50 JV deal look like? And I guess
Yeah. It depends on the amount.
take the floor unless does Savannah and Jalen have any questions?
Not right now. I'm gonna put a list of questions together. Like the more I look into everything and try to kind of figure out some stuff. If I got any questions, I'm gonna write them down. That's what I was telling Savannah too, because like I don't know everything. I'm still learning, still trying to figure stuff out. I'm still trying to figure out how to prospect like houses as well. Like where am I gonna find my leads and everything like that? Lead generation and stuff. But yeah, other than that, I mean, everything kind of make pretty decent sense. It's real simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Yeah, so
Good.
No, the only thing I was gonna say was I know before, when I tell people, hey, I'm an investor, I'm looking at this property or whatever, then I have asked them, I have had them ask me, so you're buying the property? I'll I just tell them, well, it's going to be, it's a group of us investors. It's myself and my partners. It just depends on what exit strategy we decide to use as to how we're going to go about it, is what I tell them. So like the previous one, like Darion had me say was, when I send her the contract, I'm like, hey, just to let you know, it's going to have my business, my LLC, and it's going to say and or assigns. And the reason for that is because we're not quite sure which exit strategy we're going to use yet. And with that in mind, I tell her, we have all of our fix and flips in one LLC. We have our buy and holds in one LLC. We have our Airbnbs in one LLC. So I'm like, this one, it's a good property. It fits all of them. So we're not quite sure which one it is. So that's why we have and or assign, so that way when we decide which one we're going to do, we're going to put it up under that LLC. You're not lying. You're telling 100%, you're being 100% truthful, because you don't know what the person is who you're in buyer, who you're JVing with. You don't know what their exit strategy is. So like Darion was saying, it's all about perspective as to how you think of yourself as being. You put yourself as an investor, be an investor. Think like an investor. Don't think like a wholesaler.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and I think, that's where kind of the hang up has been, understanding what an investor really is. One thing I was thinking about too is like home buyers, right? How many home buyers actually buy the house? It's the bank buying the house, right? In a sense, even home buyers are JVing with the lender, right? But nobody has a problem calling them the home buyer, right? Is that kind of, it's all about perspective, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm
100%.
saying.
Yeah, dude. Like this house, bro. I didn't put any money down for the house. I got paid 18 grand to buy my house.
Well, your
OPM.
LLC bought it.
Huh?
Your LLC bought it.
No, man. Like it's under my name. I bought it, but at the end of the day, I'm using OPM. I'm using other people's money, right? So I'll give you, I guess, an idea. So I bought the property with the VA home loan, so that's 0% down. Then and it's a new build, so I went through their financing. That gave me more credit towards my closing costs. So I ended up getting about $10,000 credited just towards my closing costs alone. And then I represented myself in the deal, so I got 4% commission on top of it.
So you were still an agent when you got it?
Yeah. And so I ended up making like 18 grand on the property. Yep. So didn't put no money down, didn't have any closing costs. I put up escrow, but I put too much escrow I put in too much for escrow, so they actually funded me back the entire amount for escrow. So my total out-of-pocket expenses to buy this house was literally $0. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, but
it's just like a developer. You have they're all investors. You have your developers, and they build places, they build homes or mixed use or whatever commercials. They buy them, they either hold them and rent them out. They buy them and sell them.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. They're still an investor. They're still a developer.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't DH Horton, they assign land all day long, don't they?
Oof, I would not touch DH.
100%, bro.
But yes, that's all it is. That's all it is. It's honestly the way, it's how you have to think of yourself.
Right.
Think of yourself as just, the average person. Oh, I'm just going to go try to buy a house. You're just going to be the average person trying to buy a house. But if you think of yourself as an investor, and I have my partners and we're going to do this, and you know, then that's the mindset you're going to have. It's all about your mindset.
Right. And so, like, really the only other hang up would, like you said, you mentioned earlier, is proof of funds. That's usually the big. Well, I'm just saying, when you're partnering with someone, they, you know, the end buyer, they can put up the proof of funds for you, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I will say this: you should never fake proof of funds.
Well, of
Don't
course.
ever do that, because if you come across somebody who is savvy enough to actually dig into a proof of funds and they find out that it's not legit, that's
Right.
a bad reputation, man. That's a quick way to build a bad rep. So the best way to get any sort of proof of funds is to actually get with, you know, your end buyer and ask them for it. Like, hey, this, you know, I've got this killer deal that I'm working up right now that I think would be great for you. I'm running into a hiccup, and I'm hoping you can, you know, possibly help me out with it real quick. Sure, man, what's up? Well, the seller's requiring proof of funds, and I personally don't have any. Would you be willing to, you know, provide me some form of proof of funds that I could provide them to get into the deal and start sending it over your way? Yeah, man, that's not a problem. And I know that people do that because shit, I do that. People will come to me and ask me or for that same reason and bring up the same thing. Like I had a guy, Jack in California, was like, hey, I'm running into this issue with this seller. They're requesting proof of funds and I don't have any. Would somebody be willing to provide me proof of funds? And in return, I'll give you first dibs on the property. So I was like, hell yeah, dude, let's go. So I did. I gave him the proof of funds. We talked about it. I helped him with the deal. Didn't work out for us particularly. So he ended up assigning it, made it $3,000 assignment fee with another group, which is great. I'm super happy for him, you know, because he was able to get it done. But it just didn't work for us personally. That's fine. Totally fine. Because the proof of funds that are provided are 100% legit, you know. And that's another thing to think about too, man, is like, that's another thing to think about too, is like a lot of the end investors that are actually buying these properties, that's not their capital. They're not using their own money. They're using hard money, either hard money or private money, you know? So there's really no big difference between them and you. It's really not. They're just using other people's money as well, you know?
You know, another way I've heard it put as well is like, you know, if you came across $1 million home and they were selling it for $100, you'd buy it, right? It makes
Yeah.
So it's all about what I'm gathering is really just, you know, if I think of myself as an investor, I mean, there's really, the sky's the limit, right? Because if I have my network set up of my buyers, you know, I am partnered as an investor.
Yeah, 100%, bro. If you view yourself as an investor, like you just said, the sky's the limit. The moment you label yourself a wholesaler, you're putting a massive anchor on yourself. Huge anchor.
You're
Because
limiting yourself to one exit strategy.
Exactly. All a wholesaler does is wholesale. That's it. Wholesale is great. It's my favorite exit strategy. Don't get me wrong. It is my favorite. But it's not the only thing that we do. It's not the only thing we want to do. Right? You have to do what actually makes the most sense for you, your company, and the returns that you're looking for. That should be the determining factor as to what exit strategy you utilize. Like today's market, I would not do a fucking burr at all. There's no way. No way. Rates are way too damn high to refinance anything right now. If I were to refinance in today's market, I'm getting a high ass rate. Lowest I'll get is probably 7%, 6.5%, 7%. But even then, at that rate, I'm probably not going to be able to make that property cash flow too well, if any. So I'd be in over my head, right? So I'd have a property with negative equity, and it'd be a massive liability because now I can't even afford to pay on it as far as the mortgage goes because it doesn't cash flow.
Yeah, I'm not too too familiar with burrs. Are they kind of like buy and holds?
Yeah, it's buy. So you buy it. Burr is BRRRR.
Mm-hmm.
You buy it, you rehab it, you rent it, and you refinance it, and then you repeat the process. It's a great exit strategy in a really strong economy. It really is. When rates are pretty low, it is a phenomenal exit strategy. But in today's economy, no bueno. No good. So, like burrs, I would not utilize at all. Wholetail, I would utilize. Novations, I would utilize. Subtail, I'm not too familiar with subtails, but I would utilize a subtail as well. A lease to purchase agreement, I'd utilize a lease to purchase agreement, 100%.
Just not a step 2 if it's not yours.
No, not at all.
Novation. I'm so glad you said that word. Okay, so tell me.
Yes. So novation. Basically, a novation is where the seller gives us permission to list their property on the MLS. And this is really, really great when we have a property that's in a bit of a rural area or we're having a tough time trying to bring an buyer to the table, right? So an novation allows us to list this property on the MLS to stir up as much interest as possible and get as many eyes on the property as possible as well. And a novation, the easiest way to explain it, is people are always like, well, how does it work? It's like a net listing agreement for a traditional agent, also combined with a traditional cash offer wholesale agreement. So what this means is, like, let's say the seller agrees to $100,000 for the purchase price.
And this is an off market, right?
Say again?
This isn't already an off market. Like you're going direct to seller for this.
Yeah, this is going to be an off market property because you can't do an novation with a property that's already listed.
Okay. That's why I was so confused the other day.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can't do it with the property that's already listed. It has to be off market in order for this to work. But what you're doing is, let's say the seller wants $100,000 for the property. Great. Well, we can give you $100,000 for the property, close or not close, but cover all traditional closing costs except taxes or liens. And you don't have to worry about agent commissions because we'll cover agent commissions as well. Now, it's the traditional cash offer, basically, right? Because that's the spiel for a cash offer. It's the same thing. Except when we do an novation, it's all of that, but it's like, hey, we're going to guarantee you that if we can get this closed, you're going to get paid $100,000 net. That's a guarantee. Like, you're going to net the $100,000, and then if you owe taxes or liens, it's going to come out of that. Cool, but overall, at the end of the day, you're getting $100,000 if we can do this on a novation. Whatever we can get the buyer to pay for over that price, that's what we make. That's our marketing fee. And that does not affect you. You don't pay us anything. And out of that marketing fee, we will cover the closing costs, and we will also cover the buyer's agent commission, so you don't have to take that on. So we'll take care of that as well. So, for example, if we're making a $25,000 difference, we're really not making $25,000 because we're covering the closing costs plus the buyer's agent's commission as well. So it's 3% of $125,000 plus another 4% of $125,000. So really, we're looking at 7% total of $125,000 coming out of that $25,000 difference that we're creating. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how innovation works. And it's really, really strong, and it's a really great tool to utilize because for example, we get a property in Waxahachie right now. We got it under contract direct to seller for $46,450. It's right across from a warehouse, and it's right next to a railroad. Not very attractive, right? So when I looked at this deal, there weren't very many sold comps in the area, and I was like, look, we can try to make this work, but I can let you know now we can't do a traditional cash offer because we're not going to be able to bring anybody to the table. It has to be an ovation in order for this to work. Wholesaler was like, oh, because this came from a wholesaler. Wholesaler was like, okay, well, I don't know how that works, but let's try it. Like, break it down, explain it to me. I'll explain it to my client. So I did. She explained it to her client very well. Got it under contract. I actually met the seller. She's super sweet lady. But we got it for $46,450. That's what she wanted to, like, she's happy with that number because she's netting 17,500, I think is what her net is. So she's netting the 17,500. So she's happy with it. And she just wants this to be done quickly. That's her big thing. She doesn't care about how much she's making. She just wants it to be done quick. So when we presented this to her, we told her, like, hey, this is what you're going to make guaranteed no matter what. Whatever we relist the property at, that difference, we're going to cover all the expenses that we had agreed upon initially, and then we keep the remaining portion of it. And she was comfortable with it. She's like totally fine with it because we were transparent about it. We listed the property for $99,000. We accepted an offer for $116,000. It's wild. It's nuts. But, and James, this is going to go back to your other question about JV splits, right? This is a JV agreement. The wholesaler who brought this to me, she didn't put up EMD. She didn't write up the contract. She isn't assisting with the dispositions or the novations or anything. What she's doing and what she did is she brought the deal to me and she worked with the seller for us. Everything else, all the heavy lifting, we're doing, right? I'm curious. I just want to know, what do you think our splits are?
It's a good question. I don't know. I would say almost something like 30-70, something like that. I don't know.
Ooh, close. Savannah, what do you think?
I was gonna say 75-25 or 80-20.
It's not bad. I like that. Actually.
Okay, so did she put the property under contract?
Nope, we did.
She just brought you the property as a lead, basically.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. For several reasons. One, this is her first deal. She's never done a deal before. Two, she had been burned in the past. And three, she's not familiar with contracts. So I wrote up the entire contract. But before I wrote up a purchase and sell agreement, I wrote up a JV agreement between her and us for this property. I sent that over to her first before I sent over a purchase and sell agreement. Why do you think I did that? Just curious.
Just so you know what the expectations are in the very beginning.
So she knows what the expectations are 100%, but it also allows her to, it lets her know that no matter what, she's in this deal. She's not getting cut out of the deal.
Right.
It creates reassurance, right?
It builds trust, right?
100%. 100%.
Just what you definitely have to do because people will screw you in this industry.
Yep. And she had been burned twice. And so that's why I sent the JV agreement over to her first prior to writing up a purchase and sell agreement. So once she signed or authorized that agreement, then I wrote up a PSA for her with our entity name in place. And that makes us responsible for all EMD. So she doesn't have to come out of pocket with anything. And the property is not necessarily assigned, but we're going into a joint venture together, and she's already got herself an end buyer. Does that make sense?
Right. And you were her end buyer?
We were planning on it, and then we got offered $116,000 for it. So basically what that means is we could flip the property and make $50K on it, or we could flip the property and or we could assign the property for $66,000 more, or $66,000. So we took the $66,000 and not have to worry about the cost of renovations and the whole project and everything. So That was the indecision. But to go back to the question I'd asked, what do you think the splits were? We're doing 65-35. 65.
I would say that's pretty generous for just bringing a lead, and you guys are pulling her
100%.
hand all the way through it, and she's learning. Yep,
100%.
Yeah,
And that's the thing. Like, I will give up some of it to be able to learn the process than
She
not
had
know.
no idea what she was making. No idea. And so we had a call the other day that was like an hour and a half. And so I asked her, I was like, do you know what you're making on this? And she's like, no. I was like, do you want to know? And she's like, I guess. So I broke down the numbers for her. She's making like $24,000 on it for her first deal.
for just giving you the lead.
Yeah. And she was like, her response was like, oh my God. I was like, I know, it's crazy. It's looking so crazy. But yeah, it's just for bringing a lead, man.
She just literally just bring you the address.
Much. And she did she brought the property.
But you said she participated in it along the way as much as she was able to.
Yeah. 100%. So, and just been guiding her along the way and really just holding her hand throughout the process. So it's really cool, man. Does it happen all the time? No, it doesn't happen all the time, but does it happen? It does happen. So, and I told her, actually, I tell everybody this really, but anybody that brings, like, for example, Miguel that was on the sales and negotiations call, there's a guy I connected with named Jake. Jake connected me with Miguel. Miguel and his team, they do quite a bit of acquisitions, like a lot in volume, but they've got a high fall through rate because they're falling behind on the disposition side.
Mm-hmm.
So I told Jake, I was like, look, man, any deals I do with Miguel that him and I do together, you're going to get a percentage of just because you made that connection. And he's like, so even if I'm not involved, I was like, yeah, dude, even if you're not involved, you're still going to make a percentage on it. Because at the end of the day, you're helping me put food on my table. You're helping me to keep a roof over my family's head and my head, and you're helping me provide. The least I can do is help you provide, and that goes for everybody, man. It's not just these individuals. It's anybody that I come across, anybody that I do work with, anybody I do business with. It's the same story. It's the same thing. 100%. 100%. Hell, you could create an entire residual business just by that one thing alone.
Right.
There was somebody on one of the Facebook groups the other day that had posted, you have all these leaders out here that are trying to help, that want to help newbies, but want to do a 60-40 split. Everybody was like, dude, be glad that they're at least taking that, like, you're getting that much. Like, they're like, well, it's not fair if we're doing all the work. Oh, so you have an end buyer. You're doing all the contracts. No. Well, then why do you think you should get why do you think they're going to help you do all this and not get anything on it? Like, that makes no sense. Well, that's not helping. Okay, well, that's you being selfish.
Yeah, dude. Learn how to do this on your own.
That's what somebody said. They were like, well, be glad it ain't me, because you wouldn't even have got out of that first conversation without, with me.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody was like, oh, well, dang, he's complaining because somebody actually wants to help him and is not asking for the full 50-50 split. Like, the dude was getting the 60%, not even the 40%.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like, look, man, like, I don't know. Hell, when I first got into this industry, I would have given anything to just get 10% of a deal, just to learn how to do this properly.
Right.
I would have taken 10% and been happy. You could have cut me a flat fee of $2,500. I would have been gun ho happy, man. 100%.
That's why they say it's better to, would you rather have, what is it? Would you rather get a slice of the watermelon and gain all of the knowledge than try to get the whole watermelon yourself and you drop it and it breaks and you don't get anything? I would rather have a slice of it and gain all the knowledge.
Right.
You know?
Some people just don't know how the world works.
Nope. It's crazy. Yeah, I think I'm good.
Yeah. Jalen, you got anything, bro?
All right, now I still want to just dive more into it so that way I can figure out what questions I'm gonna have, other than the ones that I already asked. Like, you know, so far as prospecting and everything like that, I think I just need to start walking through the process so I can bump my head a little bit, and then I'll have more to ask about.
Let me ask you, man, so that way I'm better prepared for our next session, right? So, what questions do you have in your mind now that you think you need to kind of go over to be prepared for the next session?
Really, like I said, just the prospecting. Like, how am I gonna, you know, figure out who needs to be called, like who am I calling and everything like that.
So you have questions on lead generation?
Say again?
You have questions around like lead generation?
Yeah.
Okay. What questions you got?
I mean, how would I generate my leads?
That's a good question.
Who to call?
You've got three.
So I'll figure those things out because that's where it starts, having clientele. If I don't have anyone to work with, then all the knowledge that I'm getting, I don't know how to use it because I'm not practicing it, you know?
I got you, bro. I'm gonna do you a solid. So, are you following my YouTube channel?
No, I can't though.
Did I send it to you, Jalen?
I don't think so. You may have. I don't. If you sent it to me on Facebook, I probably didn't get it.
Okay.
I just put it in the chat for you.
There you go.
That's just a brief overview, but there's two videos I'm gonna send you. There is this one here. Share copy.
Here.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep, that's it. So there's this video here. And then let's look for Wholesale 101, Session 2. Copy.
I can see it right here. You said Wholesale 101, Session 2.
Yep. Perfect. I got both of those in the chats, man. I would watch both of these videos. You got the Q&A Session 3 and Wholesale 101 Session 2. Wholesaling 101 Session 2 goes into a deep dive in acquisitions and entails lead generation. On the Q&A for Session 3, James and I believe Savannah as well, we really dive in deep as far as like pros and cons between the three different lead sources. Mm-hmm. And I break down between these two videos, I break down and explain how I would go about starting wholesaling, like getting my foot in the door, where I would start if I had to start from scratch.
Yeah, because that's where I'm at right now. I'm starting from scratch. I don't know anything but what I've learned.
So these two videos are going to be really, I think would be really great for you to watch, man. You should get quite a bit of pointers in it that I think are going to be pretty beneficial for you, bro. Because you got three. You got direct to seller, direct to agent, and direct to wholesaler. Right. So, and Q&A Session 3, I break down pros and cons of each and which one I personally prefer and why. I've knocked out these two videos, bro, and let me know if, I guess, those answer your question.
Okay.
Cool. James, do you have any more questions, bro?
I guess about the lead generation. I mean, I think that's one thing that's not really taught about, or at least it's not sexy at all, because a lot of people, you know, when you're getting into wholesaling, you hear about all the hype. Just get a piece of paper, flip it, make 20 grand. But from when I just took a course, I'm just finished up a course, and it's all about direct to seller. And he talks about how the lifeblood. He basically says if you don't have a marketing campaign, you don't have a wholesale business. So I guess something to really put out there is like, what is the realistic amount of money you should be looking at to spend per month to generate decent amount of leads? And you're saying zero?
$0, brother. $0. 100%. You shouldn't be, realistically speaking. Now, here's the thing. I hadn't always thought that. I really hadn't. I always thought Facebook marketing was really the way to go because I had a lot of success with Facebook marketing, right? But in that case, yeah, you have to put money up to front it. You do, 100%. Do I think Facebook's ineffective? No. But I no longer believe that it is the most effective way to generate leads. I believe the most effective way to generate leads is direct to agent and direct to wholesaler. I 100% believe that. That's the best way to generate leads. 100%. And it's free. Mm-hmm. It is entirely free to do.
What was the second one? Direct to wholesaler?
Yep. It's 100% free. All it takes is it takes a little bit of time, quite a bit of phone calls, and a lot of outreach, and just building rapport, building relationships with these individuals. And here's why I believe this is really the way to go. The average wholesaler, and I talked about this earlier, but the average wholesaler is doing 3 to 5 deals on a monthly basis. I knocked out 7 deals in a week. That's literally a deal a day. Is every deal closing? No, we've had three now. 3 have fallen through. There's still a good amount of deals on the board, right? 2 of those deals by itself make up more than $75,000 in fees, in assignment fees. Just 2. So, and the cost to get those, $0.
So those were what? Direct to agent?
Direct to agent, direct to wholesaler.
Well, how does the direct to wholesaler work? Are you reaching through Facebook groups to get those, or?
Facebook groups, real estate events. You've got biggerpockets.com. You've got connectedinvestments.com. Probably you can go to Google and type in, and I was actually doing this the other day. You can go to Google. It's funny. I did this the other day, and I connected with one of the founders for Sunday. Blew my mind.
One of the founders? What?
I went to google.com, and in Google search bar, I typed in, I need to sell my house cash fast, Dallas. What do you think popped up?
A bunch of wholesalers.
Bunch of wholesalers, man. So I called them, connected with them. Right? That's another really good strategy that you can use.
So if I'm calling wholesalers and I'm doing deals with the wholesalers or getting my leads from wholesalers, what does that make me?
What do you mean?
Like you're JVing with them.
Yep, 100%.
Okay.
100%.
What exactly does JVing mean?
Joint venture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. It's a joint venture. So for example, let's say James had a property under contract, and Jalen, you saw the property, you reach out to James, you're like, hey James, just wanted to connect with you and hopes to kind of hop on the phone and see what you're doing in real estate, what you've got going on, and I guess find out if there's any potential that I may be able to add some kind of value to you. Would you be opposed to hopping on the phone? Mm-hmm. Get on the phone call with him, talk to him, let him know or listen to, or find out what he's doing, what he's got going on, and find out if he's got any properties under contract, right? And he's going to add, I guarantee you.
I know some people that have properties under contract. How do I go about doing business with them?
Reach out to them.
Let
me ask you this: do you have a good relationship with them?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Oh, bro, you got a solid relationship with them. Like, how good would you say? Like, How close are y'all? Like, how good of a
We
relationship
used
are
to
you?
work together. Like we
Oh,
take
bro,
yeah,
get
that's
out of here.
what I'm saying.
I,
That's my guy. Like he got a few contracts going with like Top Golf in Boise, and a few other houses under contract as well, like 3 other houses. And he sent me all of the I think what is it, ARV?
Howdy.
After I mean aftermarket value. I mean what no after
ARP?
values. Yeah, ARV. He sent me all the ARVs. He sent me the properties where they located and address and everything. But moving
Bro,
like he asked me if I knew investors. I was like, nah, man, I don't really know nobody. I just got here.
yes.
Hello.
That is an
But I told him
open
I was gonna look. I
brother.
told him I was gonna look. It just so happened
Yeah.
I met y'all now. I didn't know. I didn't know until But now that I know, I can tell y'all, hey, I got this here, and I got everything in my phone still. So
Yeah, bro. So what I would reach out, how long ago did he send you those properties?
like last week,
Man, I'd reach
he
out to
sent
him.
that to me last week.
I would text him or call him. I was like, hey, bro, do you still got those properties under contract? You're not gonna
Yeah.
believe this, but I actually got a buyer now.
Okay. All right.
Right.
Well, I'm calling as soon as I off of here because he been sending me a lot. Like he sent me like 3 houses, and then he told me he got a contract with something on the contract with Top Golf too. So I was like, well, okay, I don't really know about like the commercial aspect of it, how we do all that, but I figure it's the same. So
Yes, it's different but similar. Different
yeah.
but similar. Get down, buddy. Down. So yeah, man, I'd give him a call and be like, hey, bro, do you still got those properties under contract? Because I actually got a buyer now. Funny enough, that's what I would say. And then when you hop on the call, just be straight up with him. Like, hey, bro, like I really want to get into this game and start doing what it is that you're doing. Would you be opposed to going into any kind of joint ventures with me? And if you get the properties under
This is him
contract,
calling me right now. I literally just texted him. I was just like, yo, calling me right now.
that's wild.
Yo.
Are
Hey,
you
give me like 10 minutes real quick. I'm on a Zoom call still. Sorry, y'all.
James? Are you on Facebook?
Whoa, James, can you hear us, bro?
Yeah.
Are you on Facebook?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook.
Okay, I'm gonna put our group link in the chat.
Okay.
Go join our group.
Where Panther City? Are you in Pantego?
No, we're Fort Worth.
Fort Worth. Okay.
Mhm. Where are you at?
I'm in Arlington, South Arlington.
Are you coming to our meetup on the 21st?
I didn't know anything about it.
Oh my God. Okay. So hold on. I'm gonna put the link
You can
in here.
yeah.
Tickets.
Please do, because I haven't got mine either.
You don't have to have them, dork. You're a leader.
Oh, that's I
So
knew that.
Okay, I see the.
Hey, I got the notification and it said Steve had gotten tickets, and I'm like, I called him and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, well, why did you get tickets? And he was like, because I didn't want to miss out. I was like, you're a freaking leader. Why do you need tickets? He was like, I was like, we need to save. By the way, we filled up all the rest of it. We filled up the whole first 25. So now this is the second link.
Damn, are you serious?
Mhm.
Oh shit.
This is the second link that we're doing. So I'm getting it, James. Just like a second.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah.
So I just went to your Facebook page. It says, "Are you an investor?" So I checked that box, right?
Yep.
Love it.
Good
Love
job on that. And then actually when you get in there, the link is actually on the page too.
I like how you say, "Do you agree to have a go-giver mentality?" I like that.
Yes. Because that's the thing about our group is it's not like other groups, everybody gets in there and they're just like whatever. Ours is like Dre was describing it the other day, we're like a family group.
Yeah.
We all just kind of mesh work with everybody, and you know, we're very uplifting, and we're not just like a regular group.
Yeah.
We actually want to see people succeed. If you need help, reach out. Like that's what the whole reason for our group. You know what I mean? Daniel, that was in it earlier. Daniel the leader. Me and Dre, Darion, Julie and Steve. Steve was in there earlier. I mean, we're all leaders. But like Dre said, we want everybody to, hey, come join my group. You know what I mean? Because this is
Take
everybody.
ownership in it. Right.
Right. I mean, we're leaders in it, but this is everybody's group. We're a family. And that's the difference. Like we don't want, you know, we don't want everybody to be like, oh, they're the leaders. They're the only ones that no, if you have some, post it. You have an idea, post it, reach out. You know what I mean? Don't think that it can only be like one of us that does anything. No, this is, we want you to be able to say, hey, you know, come, you know, come like our group, come hang out with our group, come see it. Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
So,
don't.
where do I find out more about the meetup?
I'm fixing to. Did it submit it? There it is. Hold on. I'm gonna go. Hold on. I gotta go approve you. Okay, so I approved you. Make sure. So on the page, hold on. If you scroll down, you'll see where I have posted. It says, y'all, I'm so excited to share that we sold out on the first set of free tickets. That link, just click on where it has the big picture. Just click on it, and it'll take you actually to the link for the tickets, and it'll let you get it. It's next Thursday from 6:30 to 9:30. And I'll also post them like monthly. We'll get in. I'll post them. We're having it next Thursday, but from that point on, it's going to be the second Thursday of every month. It's going to be the same spot, 6:30 to 9. We'll have speakers sometimes, but it's basically we just want everybody to be able to come together, network, you know, get to know everybody, a family type thing. And it's not going to be your typical just, you know, everybody's just looking at each other. Like we're having it somewhere where it's a relaxing, you know, there's food, you know, that you can buy food, you can buy drinks, whatever. It's not just going to be like in a room where it's just like there's nothing. Like we're in it, it's actually going to be in a relaxed, you know, atmosphere type thing. So, but yeah, go check it out. It's Rogers Roundhouse. Rogers Roundhouse. It's over off University in Fort Worth.
Okay.
So,
what is that a restaurant?
It's kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. Have you been there, Darion?
No.
No.
I'm looking at it though.
I don't even know how to. It's not a sports bar, but it's not like.
Ooh, that look delicious.
An event center?
Huh?
Just maybe like a party event center?
It's not even that. It's just I can't even really describe it. It's just a laid back.
No, I like that. It's like a little backyard type theme to it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And it's a big old area. I don't know if you drink. I drink mixed drinks. But like people who drink beer, they have 30 different types of beer there.
Yeah, this is not. I like this.
I mean, yeah. And it's you know, it's not like a trashy establishment. It's just a really good, relaxed atmosphere.
Like a bar restaurant. This is kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's not. I like it. Yeah, it's a good spot.
It has really good food. Me and Dre we had lunch there one time. I had met him when he was on delivery one day over in the area. We ended up meeting there by accident, actually. And they have some really good food. They have some good drinks. So
Okay.
Yeah, looks good. Okay, killer.
So yeah, so make sure you go get your drinks. I mean, your tickets, so you can come hang out with us next Thursday.
I need to get a
So
heat.
it says it's already sold out, or
No, it shouldn't be.
I'm just saying it says I'm excited to share we sold out
Oh.
the first set of free tickets.
Yes, but click on it, and when you go to the link, you can get the ticket. That's the this
Okay,
is
there it
the,
is. It says reserve a spot. Okay, I see that.
yeah
On
yeah
it.
it's a new one.
On the
I was
event
gonna ask, on the
Eventbrite.
it made me log in and everything, but is it gonna send me like a barcode ticket or something like that?
No, you honestly what it's for is so I can keep account of how many people are coming.
Okay, just RSVP.
Yeah, it's basically all it is. You don't have to have the barcode or anything to get in. I mean, it sends it to you. It sends you the confirmation via email, but you don't have to have it. I just basically need it as a head count.
Okay.
That's really all it is. So
Sweet. Yeah, Jalen, that's what I'll do, bro. Give him a call back, man, whenever you can. See if he's got those poppers available.
He's headed back to his hotel right now, and he told me he's gonna call me when he gets in front of his computer. He already sent me all of the properties, the after repair values and everything like that. Like he sent me everything already. I think the only thing I was missing was like the contracts and stuff like that.
Oh, it's easy, bro. How long has he been doing this for?
I want to say maybe a year and some change now.
Years and
'Cause
change?
he was the
Okay.
one I used to do sales when I was in Houston. We did door to door. He told me just right now. I just got back, so call me whenever. That's what he. But yeah, that's what we used to do out in Houston, and that was like in 2021. So after that, he went back to car sales for a little bit. I went back to car sales for a little bit. I got back into door to door sales, but then he was like, "Hey man, this is what we're doing now. Me and Cody, we're down here in Boise, and we're doing real estate." So he was like, "You need to do this with us. Like, come down here." They've been trying to get me to move, so they went and bought like a 5-bedroom house. He's like, "Bro, you got a room going down here?" I'm like, "All right, just wait."
Gotta do it, man. Gotta do it, bro. Got to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, get with him on it. See. Hell, I'd be interested in looking the properties over, especially if some of them are single family.
Yeah.
We can all hop on a conference call, underwrite them together, and I can let you guys know where we'd come in at and where we'd be at for it. And if it doesn't work for us, I mean, we're not going to leave you guys in the dark. Like, we'd help y'all dispo if it's not something y'all would be opposed to, too.
Right. How would I reach out to you through here or what?
And 4, 2, 6. There you go. There you go. And then
I'm gonna call him real quick. I'm gonna shoot you a text so you know who I am.
cool.
And I'll let him know what's going on and see what we can do.
Sweet, too easy, bro. And then Savannah, since like again, you brought Jillian into the picture, you connected us together. So anything that Jillian and I were to do together, you're getting. Like you're gonna get paid for it. So just for that connection.
heck yeah. Yeah, because I got in bars.
You do. Hell yeah, 100%.
Definitely. Yeah.
Because I definitely am not one to be on the phone. So Jalen, we're gonna have to talk because phone is not my strength.
I got you.
So, but yeah, same goes for you, James. Like same thing, bro. If you make excuse me, if you make a good solid connection between me and another person, and we do deals together like pretty consistently, bro. Like that's gonna be it. That can turn into a residual stream of income for you, brother. 100%. So, but yeah. Other than that, does anybody do y'all have any other questions or anything?
I don't know. We covered a lot of ground.
We did. I think it's probably the longest Q&A we've had so far.
But Jalen, I will ask you, was it worth?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I was being here bored anyway, so I was like, I mean, I'd rather learn something. I've been studying life insurance and stuff, but this is it's a lot better, honestly.
It's a lot better than what?
Life insurance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Life insurance is a lot more terms. It's a lot like you got to get certified and go take a test, take a bunch of quizzes and stuff, which I've been doing that. And I got a schedule for a test here soon just so I can go get my certification and everything. But I prefer to do real estate. Like, if I could do both, of course, I'm going to do both. But, you know, if I had a preference, like if I was just going to choose to do one, which I'm not because I want to do both, but it would be real estate. And this is what, like, it's more exciting to me because, like, they just getting in the field kind of make me like, okay, now I see what it's going to take for me to be able to buy my own property one day, you know, my own land, and how I could use that, you know, how I could use the knowledge to my advantage, right? So,
Yeah, 100%.
I just have one quick question. You don't have to go too in depth, but how close are we to needing to get a real estate license to continue to do this business?
Yeah, I wouldn't say we're going to be there anytime soon. No, yeah, I wouldn't say we would be, bro. I think it would take, because think about it like this, man, like especially with this big lawsuit that just happened against NAR, really doesn't put us in any different, or doesn't put realtors any higher than an investor wholesaling a property or assigning a property, you know? So I don't see it coming anytime soon, bro.
Okay. Yeah. Well, right on, man. Thanks again so much. Yeah, thanks for answering and helping me wrap my head around this whole thing. Appreciate that.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, man. Cool. Everybody good to go?
Yeah, I got my ticket for Thursday.
yeah, I got mine too.
Exciting.
You gonna be there?
I'll be there.
Awesome.
Yep,
Jaylen's
I'll be
gonna be there.
Yeah.
You're all gonna be there. It's gonna be a big group of us. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. I haven't got it in a little minute.
Cool. All right, y'all. Well, I'm gonna wrap this call up, and yeah. So y'all enjoy the rest of the weekend, and see y'all next session.
All right,
Yes.
man. Thank you.
Good.
See you Thursday, and then the next session.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, y'all.
All right.
Later.